Man, there was an interesting story in my career where I was always doing weighted calisthenics and skills. I was combining this because I loved it. It was so good. You can do skills, you can do weights. It was very, very enjoyable. And then one day I decided, let me stop weighted calisthenics and do only skills. I was suffering. I did that for 2 months. I was suffering. I could not do, like, it's like something is missing in my training. I could not do just skills. Weights, I love the weights too much. It's too enjoyable. You know, the feeling the next day after the workout when you're very sore, you look in the mirror and you think you look bigger because you feel sore, and you feel bigger because you're sore. So man, this was so good. Everything about weights, I loved it a lot. So, and then suddenly everything stopped. It was very tough. It was the toughest breakup of my career when I stopped doing weights. And yeah, that's why I kept going together with them. So I kept doing weighted calisthenics. And then I stopped one day. And you know why I stopped one day? Because I wanted to get very good and progress fast in skills. And kind of, I almost achieved what I wanted in weights. I'm not even close to what I wanted, but good enough. I achieved a good enough result for me to stop weighted calisthenics, at least for a bit. So I'm definitely getting back, and I'll definitely want to achieve more in weighted calisthenics, which will be easy because that's my goal, unless I get some serious injury or the lower back injury creates some problems again, which it shouldn't because I finally fixed it. Some guys spend years doing calisthenics skills or bodyweight calisthenics, and some guys do weights or weighted calisthenics, but they still end up plateauing. Pure weight training or just bodyweight calisthenics and skills? Well, we're gonna get into this because there's some good amount of difference between them. And today I'll break this down with pure knowledge, no hype, no BS. I'll tell you why most athletes who do pure bodyweight training end up hitting a plateau when it comes to muscle gaining. And then I'll tell you why the people who do weighted calisthenics actually look very solid. And if you're wondering who I am, I'm a bit of both. Like, I'm a mix of a calisthenics guy who achieved some calisthenics skills. I've done some deep handstand push-ups, I've done some muscle-ups, front lever pull-ups. Now I'm doing a bit of planche and front lever, so I'm improving my statics. I've also done weighted pull-ups with a good amount of weight. I've done, the best recorded set was 70 kilos for 8, and not recorded set was 77.5 kilos for 7 reps. When it comes to weighted dips, 100 kilos for 10 reps was the best recorded weight. So, you know, just some good results, and I ended up gaining some good size. So this is also a benefit. So I can kind of talk about both and see what's the difference, what's better for different situations and stuff like this. So we're getting into all this stuff. A good part about the skills that makes the skills harder for me is the fact that I'm 188 centimeters and 95 kilos. So this is also something that kind of makes the calisthenics side a bit tougher in terms of skills. In terms of weights, it makes it actually easier. So if we talk about pure bodyweight, what's the reason people would do pure bodyweight calisthenics? And by bodyweight calisthenics, I mean or bodyweight pull-ups, bodyweight dips, or push-ups or pistol squats, which are one-leg squats, or we can talk about skills. Well, skills are done mostly for one reason: pure bodyweight control and doing something that looks very cool. That's why I do skills right now, because they look very, very good. I like it, I want to achieve something good at this, so it's definitely worth it. So skills like muscle-ups, one-arm pull-ups, they look very good, they're very, very worth it. But you don't really do skills if your goal is muscle growth. And yes, you can still do skills and gain muscles and use some methods that are good for muscle growth, which will get you the skills also. But you know what's the biggest disadvantage of skills and muscle growth? Is one thing. I'm showing 2 fingers, but it's one thing. It's not a good idea to combine failure, which is good for muscle growth, with skills, because most skills do not require you to go until failure to get a good program. So most good programs for skills are not really until failure, unless we speak about front lever and planche. But front lever and planche are mostly static movements. Mostly. You can do them dynamically, but mostly static movements. And in all these skills, the technique is usually not slow and controlled like bodybuilding would require you to. So most important principles for muscle gaining do not fit the workouts for skills usually, most of the time. If you talk about the best methods for skills, they're different to best way of gaining muscles. Pretty different, like most principles are very different. And also people do bodyweight calisthenics because maybe they don't have an option, they don't have a gym, and because they just want to get more pull-ups and more dips. So that's their goal, just endurance. They want to get more pull-ups, more dips. And usually, actually, I'll tell you one extra thing, going a bit off topic. You can combine endurance on pull-ups and dips with training skills. You can combine weights with skills, but you cannot combine all three of them in one program. Yes, if you do just weights or weighted calisthenics and skills, your body weight calisthenics or your body weight reps will still get better, but not as good as if you train specifically for endurance. So again, this is a longer subject, but usually just two of the three things could be combined together. And also you can combine endurance with weights, but it's not too good because with weights you work in a specific rep range, which is, let's say, lower, 3 to 15 reps, and then you do bodyweight reps which are higher rep range. It's okay, but it's rare. It's just I haven't heard many athletes who combine low rep range with high rep range. It's normal, it's very possible, but it's not too common, because usually if you want just weights or lifting a lot of weight, you only stick to that usually. You don't really go into a higher rep range kind of. And if you're into bodyweight training also, the issue is progressive overload. So why do many people hit a plateau when it comes to bodyweight calisthenics or bodyweight pull-ups and bodyweight dips in terms of muscle growth? Of course, the main factor is eating enough calories or being in a small surplus of 100 to 300 calories more than you need, or just make sure you gain like 1 kilogram a month or every 2 months. Then it means you're eating enough calories. Also, what's important about this stuff is once you get to 20 reps or 30 reps or more, you work more on endurance, and it's not so good for muscle growth. And the main best thing for muscle growth is going close to failure or until failure. So these are the main principles, and it's possible you can still get good. And if you can find a way to get at least 20 kilos on your pull-ups and dips by creating something, you can come up with something. You understand? You can think of something. Okay, how do I get weights? You can come up with something. If you want to, you'll come up with something. If you don't have a belt, you'll come up with something, or creating a belt. You can come up with something all the time. So if you want to, you'll find a way to add some weights. But in general, if your goal is mostly bodyweight pull-ups, bodyweight dips, and doing a lot of reps, you don't really need to add weights. So I just tried to explain to you why you would do bodyweight pull-ups and bodyweight dips. If you have no equipment, you don't have any weights, and no gym membership, and you don't want muscle growth that much. You mostly want sets and reps. So you want to do a lot of reps, bodyweight. By the way, there's an interesting myth of some people who misunderstood my message about doing weighted calisthenics and then getting into skills. They assume, some people assume online, because some people texted me about this. They assume that the best way to learn skills is by doing weights. No, it's not true. It's not the best way. The best way to get good at skills is to do skills. Understand? But many legends I learned from suggest you to do bodyweight skills, bodyweight reps, so you getting to at least 15 pull-ups and 20 dips, or you getting to at least 20 kilos for 10 reps on pull-ups and 40 kilos for 10 reps on dips before you get into skills, just so you learn them faster. Understand? So you can skip through more than half of the progressions usually. So this is the reason you do it, and you gain some muscles, and getting stronger at weights is a bit easier than skills, so you get an understanding on how training works before you get into the tough part, which is skills. But let's make it straight and clear. You training skills is the best way for you to progress in skills. You training weights is the best way to progress in weights, but the strength from weights will transfer good onto skills. Same with if you train only skills. If you train only skills, you get into weighted calisthenics and you will be actually pretty good. You understand? The muscle gaining part will not be there that much. So if you train skills, it's not too good for muscle gains. So that's the issue with just training skills. And by the way, if you want the SSS program, which has helped thousands of people get very strong and is knowledge for a couple of years minimum, I'll leave the link in the description. So pure bodyweight training equals solid bodyweight control, solid strength in bodyweight. Weighted training equals solid strength in weighted and good muscle growth and good transfer to skills. You understand? So this is kind of the main differences between them. What would I suggest you to do? You ask yourself this. Asking somebody to tell you what goal you need to have, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea, because then you will do what someone told you to do, not what you actually want to do. You understand? So all of this depends on your goal. And one more thing that I would share that is very, very important about this stuff. It's very important to have a goal and to be excited for the workouts. You need to think about your goal minimum couple of times a day. Minimum 5, 10, 20 times a day you think about your goal. And if you don't have a goal, create a goal. Think, okay, what exercise do you like from calisthenics? Okay, front lever and planche. Okay, watch some videos on YouTube about front lever and planche, watch some reaction videos, some this. Get the motivation going, then man, I really want to achieve full planche. Boom, train for full planche. Man, I really want to achieve 2 front lever pull-ups. Boom, go for it. You need to have a goal. If you don't have one, create one. People are waiting for something to come to them. Always, you wait for something. Create everything. Same thing, even I can give an example of getting motivated. You will never get motivated from nature, from somewhere. You create the motivation by acting motivated. You act aggressive, you act excited, you act motivated before the workout. This is how you get motivated. This is also a secret. I also shared in one of the videos on YouTube. I think it's called discipline or motivation. A very important one. So you can watch it after. And again, this is a longer subject than just this, so do not think I've shared everything. No, there's still a lot of stuff to share about this, but the video would be too long. That's why I'll be making more videos for you to watch. And if you want the exact blueprint, the step-by-step system, all the details you need, then check the SSS program that thousands of people have used. They've got crazy results. I'll attach some videos here, a lot of videos. The amount of results I have is crazy. I'll leave the link or here on the screen somewhere, or in the description. And the good method that I talked about, which is for muscle building, very good one. Imagine what I did here. I shared all the details needed about this method, all of them, in a video on YouTube. Imagine. So you just watch it and you have a very good method that will take you to minimum 40 kilos for 10 reps on weighted pull-ups and minimum 70 kilos for 10 reps on weighted dips in the worst case scenario. If you stick to it and you don't make mistakes. I'll leave the video here on the screen. And yeah, you can watch it. Take care.